This is the Horror Scouts podcast, and we're about to review Suitable Flesh.
Wow. Rough fucking crowd.
Honest crowd.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. As we said, this is the Horror Scouts podcast. My name is Mike. I'm one of your hosts and troop leaders, and I'm joined, as always, by our other two hosts and troop leaders, Brian.
Hello.
And Nick.
Howdy.
And yeah, we're reviewing Suitable Flesh this time. Quick warning. All of our reviews here at Horror Scouts contain spoilers, so if you don't want anything ruined, go watch Suitable Flesh and then come up back and see what we have to say. Let's see, what else? Housekeeping here. You're watching or listening to us in one of two ways. You're either on YouTube at youtube.com/@horrorscouts or listening on one of your favorite podcast services. Either way, thank you very much. We appreciate it. There's going to be a timestamp in the description if you want to skip right to the review, because we're just going to be chatting a little bit, and I have a few bullet points of news I want to touch on because it's been a little while since we recorded. And yeah, that's that. Bye, guys.
Hello.
What's going on?
Doing pretty good. It's like we've got healthy, just recovered, and currently sick on this podcast. So but we're gonna plow through. We're gonna get through it.
I found my Horror Scouts bandana that you made when you still had the screen print. And I came really close to coming on screen with that like tied around my nose and mouth.
That'd be funny.
At least you're feeling okay for the most part.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound fine. And we've been chatting for a little bit before we hit record, and you haven't been hacking up along the whole time.
No.
So.
Listen, if this was 2 days ago, it would have been very obvious I was the sick one.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I don't know if anyone's got anything they want to catch us up on, or if you just want to start talking some news.
No, I mean, I've had a pretty lame 2 weeks, so...
Yeah, you were not doing well.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel good enough to even really turn on a TV for the most part, so I didn't watch anything. I didn't do fucking anything. I stared at walls. I started reading a book.
Oh, wait, so you performed Skinamarink?
Yeah. Yeah. Although I was looking more like ahead instead of up. But otherwise I faced my childhood fears when I stared at door frames. Yeah.
Just see Nick like laying on the floor, head on the carpet, like looking at the baseboard.
Did you see cat feet walk by every now and then?
Yeah. Val mumbling somewhere on the other side of the house.
Yeah, completely unintelligible.
You could have made the sequel this whole time. Just
could have. I found my old handy cam. It's somewhere on the floor around me here. I totally could have played with that.
Oh my god!
All right, next time you're sick, we got Skinamarink too. Nick's house.
Yeah.
Nick's house. Oh god.
Yep.
So
that's what I've been up to, making movies.
Speaking of like artsy films, it's not a horror movie, but I just watched the trailer for a movie that was at Sundance, and I watched the trailer with Paula, and she, in Paula fashion, since it was already artsy and did not make sense, she was very mad at it.
Sounds right.
But I would recommend people go check out the trailer for Sasquatch Sunshine.
Okay.
And it's a movie about the year in the life of a family of Sasquatch.
Sasquatch Sunset.
Yes, Sunset, sorry. The cast includes Jesse Eisenberg, but everyone's in full Sasquatch makeup the whole time, and there is no dialogue. It's like legit just like grunts, and so it's like half comedy, half weird, sad, artsy as it goes on. And it just seems so strange.
Okay.
I'm curious. It gives me vibes of oh dang, what was the name of that movie? The one with, was it Daniel Radcliffe? Like the dead, like befriending the dead body.
Yeah.
Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army
Yes,
Man.
Swiss Army Man. Like you're like, okay, this is gonna be fucking weird, and I watched that and I really liked it. So
I like that a lot. That was a weird movie.
yeah. So I was reading reviews of this Sasquatch Sunset movie, and like 3 of the 4 I saw were like praising it, but of course, coming from someone who's reviewing it as like this artsy, oh, it's so different and blah blah blah. But also, it very well could just be like, oh, so I also read that like a bunch of people did just walk out at Sundance, so it's either going to be for you or absolutely not.
Yeah. There's not going to be a meh for
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
It's either yay or nay.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of trailers, I'm going to plug our Discord, link in the description. We have a channel in there for trailers, and I've added a bunch of them lately. So definitely, if anybody wants to just go catch up on what horror trailers have been coming out, go do that.
Yeah, I still need to do that. I'm a bad host.
It's fine. I'm a bad admin of the Discord channel, but it's there just in case. All right, I'm excited to talk about a little bit of news that I found that's happened recently. Number one, Dan Trachtenberg is returning to write and direct a new Predator movie.
I saw that.
Nice.
That's very exciting. It's
Yes.
not going to be a sequel to Prey, even though that is also being discussed apparently, but just kind of another standalone Predator movie. So, hey,
That's
man.
what it should be.
Yeah.
Stop with the sequels. Just throw the Predator in different times, and let it rip.
Yep. Absolutely. And I would think it'd be a safe bet to say that they'll put it in theaters, because Prey was on a Hulu exclusive,
Right.
but it was back more towards pandemic times, and then won freaking Oscar and stuff. So I have a feeling they're betting on him. If he does another good job, which I'm sure he will, be like, okay, yeah, no, this is going to go into the theater first.
Yeah.
Which would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So I'm excited about that, getting him back in the directing seat. Ghost House Pictures has tapped Sebastian Sebastian V to direct the next Evil Dead film.
There's going to be a next, huh?
Yeah. So there's a quote here. This is the new course of the Evil Dead franchise is for Raimi to hand select hot up-and-coming filmmakers to put their own spin on the Deadites, which has been working exceedingly well for the Bloody Saga.
Exceedingly well is a strong term.
Yeah.
Again, mostly because if they want to make an Evil Dead movie in the universe, please fucking do that. Don't remake it a 4th time?
Right.
3rd time? Whatever. Depends on how you look at Evil Dead
3.5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we get it. We know the original. We know all the beats. We know how the story goes. Now, go on from there.
Yeah, from what I read, it's definitely they're moving further. It's going to be these like one-off sort of things. What else I got here? So Sebastian was quoted saying, I told the studio that I wanted to make a nasty film, a film that hurts, from which you come away tested. And they said yes, so that's good.
Okay. Do we know that name from anything?
He did, I think, one feature so far in French. I forget the name of it, but it was like a horror movie about spiders.
Perfect.
You had me at French.
Yep. Same. It's like, oh, foreign? Great. Sign me up.
Yeah. He also mentions that Sam Raimi and company are giving him, quote, 100% creative freedom to play with the Evil Dead sandbox, and that he aims for his film to have a, quote, French twist. And he's hoping for a Halloween 2025 release.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, I went from lukewarm on this idea to very excited.
Yeah.
So
Just the whole giving up and coming directors a chance to do it is like,
yeah,
yes,
I think
thank
that's awesome, and not, as Brian said, trying to keep it as like, let's tell the same story again. Like,
Mhm.
no, you created a world, go do something with it, go play
Yeah.
with it. Like I like that, and also French horror is good. So yeah, cool.
And the third and last thing I have, speaking of the working exceedingly well recently for Evil Dead Fede Alvarez, his Alien film has officially been given the name Alien Romulus, and it is set for release August 16th of this year. And it's set
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's set between Alien and Aliens, but like a separate story. It's going to focus on will focus on a group of young people on a distant world. So it has nothing to do with the Ripley story. And in a recent conversation at a convention, Fede was talking to Del Toro, and he was recounting producer Ridley Scott approaching him after a screening, and he said, quote, "Fede, what can I say? It's fucking great."
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yep.
I want it to be.
Yeah. And I didn't write it down, but I also read that one of the young actresses, who's actually going to be playing Abby in season 2 of The Last of Us, she was on set at one point or somewhere, and Fede had a cut of the film on his iPad, and so she was like, "Oh, I want to see it. Show me some parts." And she said like a bunch of people gathered around and were watching, and there was one scene that like everyone except for her like walked away because it was so like gruesome. So I was like, yes,
Okay.
More of that, please.
Fede strikes again. So yeah,
Awesome.
some cool stuff to look forward to. I'm excited.
Potential.
Yeah, man. Well, that's what I got for news. What do you say we jump into a review of Dennis Paolo's Suitable Flesh? Well, Joe Lynch and Dennis Paolo. Sorry. Got ahead of myself on my notes. Okay, so Suitable Flesh, written by Dennis Paolo, based on a story by H.P. Lovecraft, directed by Joe Lynch. Is that David Lynch's son or something?
To my knowledge, no relation.
Okay.
Looking it up right now.
Okay. Our cast is Heather Graham as Dr. Elizabeth Derby, Judah Lewis as Asa, Barbara Crampton as Dr. Daniela Upton, and we also have Jonathan Shaish as Edward Derby. And the very quick synopsis is: a psychiatrist becomes obsessed with one of her young patients, who she later discovers is linked to an ancient curse. Okay, first up. Yay, nay, or just okay?
You tipped our hand pretty hard there.
Yeah, I think we know where you two are. I'm going with a just okay. I'm going with the meh.
Okay.
Wicked nay.
Nay. Capital N.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, also, before, since Nick was already set to not let me pick movies anymore, in my defense, Lynch has done some fun movies, including Mayhem, and mostly Mayhem. I enjoyed Wrong Turn 2 back in 2007.
Okay.
Wasn't terrible. That one was decent. This has no credit to horror movies, but he directed the music video for Strapping Young Lad's Love, so that's fun. He's done more scenes like action type movies, but the couple I've seen have been enjoyable. And then the writer Paoli wrote the screenplays for Reanimator, From Beyond, and some other similar horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
So like, plus the cast, and it looked kind of crazy. So like there was potential within the setup.
There was, yeah. No one's saying there wasn't. No one's saying there wasn't. But then we watched it,
Right?
and you're still giving it an okay.
Well, that's not so much of my defense, but as it is to me, I have a higher tolerance for lower quality movies. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's
I
accurate.
generally like some what are normally considered bad movies. I watch a lot of shit people never heard of from the 60s, 70s, 80s,
Mm-hmm.
random Italian things. Some of them are generally just, I finish it and go, well, that was not worth my time. And some of them, like, okay, I get it. This lies somewhere in the, I can understand what they're trying to do and enjoyed some of it, but also what?
Yeah,
so-
that to me was the problem with this. Like, obviously, I like movies that are good. I think everybody would say they like movies that are good. That doesn't need to be said. But like,
It's a horror movie, Horror Scouts T-shirt.
yeah, I like movies that are good. But like, I can appreciate some campy B movie type stuff. I don't have the same threshold that you do.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Yep.
But this didn't go far enough in either direction. Like, it clearly wasn't a good
Great.
movie. But it felt like it was trying to be a good movie and missing the mark. And there's a difference between, like, we know what this is. This is schlocky and stupid and over the top and ridiculously gory, or where this is basically like a sex curse. Like, you expect it to be like that 80s level of, borderline pornographic. And it wasn't that. And it wasn't super gory. And it wasn't super cheesy. It was just not good.
I that was actually one of my comments. Was I feel like it definitely needed. I can agree with that. Well, I'm not don't want to say it's not good, but I also agree it should have doubled down on everything, on the sex, on the nudity, on the gore, on the camp, and especially, I mean, one of the reasons Barbara Crampton is be a horror movie scream queen was because she was half naked in most of those movies. Sure, she's older now, but so what? I mean, the fact that Heather Graham went there was actually surprising. But yeah, I can agree. It definitely needed to double down. It felt a little too tame I wouldn't go so far as to call the movie tame, but it's too tame for what it should have been, considering the story.
And like, watching the trailer afterwards, it definitely made it look like it was going to be a lot crazier and a lot more violent and a lot more intense. It was like, I mean, I know that's the goal of a trailer, is to sell a movie, but man, you sold a completely different package on that one. Like, it's not nearly as intense and exciting and fast paced as they make it seem like it should be.
Yeah.
And it should be in order to work. And it just, I don't know. It didn't for me.
I know, like, I've had on my list to watch, what was the name of the movie you like by him, Brian?
Mayhem.
I've been meaning to watch that. And so I haven't, so it's kind of weird to say, like, he did a good job with that. So, like, it almost feels like if he did a nice job with that, what happened? Like,
right.
Like, I mean, it was just the whole, the wrong crew, and because it wasn't just like, oh, they tried, but the acting pulled it down. It was like, no, there was just like all the little elements. Well, yeah.
Well, what Mayhem was a kind of different style movie, right? So it takes horror as one of its genre tags, but it definitely plays more into action and like kind of dark comedy, but they double down on the violence. And when it was comedy, sometimes it maybe should have been, but it was. But you also had Stephen Yeun and Samara Weaving as the two main leads, which is why one of the reasons I keep saying Samara Weaving should be doing more horror comedies, because every time she's in one, it's great. So again, that's a different style of movie. One of the other movies he did is Everly, which I didn't see, but I know that was with Salma Hayek, I believe, but that was an action movie.
Mhm.
not a horror movie. So maybe this style, or maybe just doing a Lovecraft type story, isn't quite for him. Because we know Paoli can do it, and when Paoli does it, it's cheesy as fuck, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Reanimator,
Yeah.
come on,
Right.
Yeah.
like, and From Beyond, like they're all just he does that. So this didn't go to theaters, like there was no reason for this not to go there.
Mhm.
So why they made that choice is kind of beyond me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so just to stick on that other movie real quick, like, I don't know how long ago you saw it, but I'm assuming like the editing felt good and like the lighting was right. And like here, I get it. I don't know. It just feels like maybe a good filmmaker was just like given this team that was just
Yeah.
not what he
Yeah.
was used to. Because like my first note was that the editing was so like overzealous, and that could have been the result of bad coverage, and the editor was left stuck trying to work around it and couldn't cut at the pace he wanted to, or it was just poorly
I mean, even if it
done.
was bad coverage, it's still bad choices. Like I texted you guys when I was watching because I saw it after you guys did. Just
Mhm.
like you don't have to dial in so hard on okay, there's this book that it's, you blood sacrifice the book and a curse does its thing or whatever. But like, so her hand gets cut on this knife and then the guy sets the knife down on the book and it absorbs the blood. And like, yeah, okay, we all see that coming. We all get it. We know it's happening. But just to drive the point home, the cut there, the edit for the transition to the next scene is like a slow zoom in as the rest of the screen goes black to like just focus on only the blood seeping into the book. And that happens more than once in this movie. It's just like, look at the thing here that's happening in case you missed
Yeah,
it.
I call it the Looney Tunes tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
this is not some super deep movie that was hard to follow. You don't need to draw my eye to that thing because we all saw it coming. Like, and that happens more than once. That's not a coverage thing. That's just a bad choice.
mm-hmm.
And you're mentioning the lighting and stuff. I feel like most of that came from the bad green screening.
Mm-hmm.
There was some fucking atrocious green screening, and the most offensive to me, because I didn't understand why, was what was Heather Graham's character's name?
Derby, Elizabeth Derby.
Yeah, was Derby's office. Why the hell was that window green screened?
I had that.
Like, could you not?
Right.
Does that mean that office was a set? And like, and also, if it was a set, there was no backdrop you could just pull there of a sky.
Yeah.
It's second or third. It was second or third floor.
Yeah.
That was like, it was Sky Sharks level fake looking.
Yeah, and
Like-
every time, and it lit the room so bad. I mean, let's not forget when they fell out of the window, and you know the
Yeah. Oh,
which they
God.
spent too much time on, and that's where I complain about like low budget done right and low budget done that way. You know that's a shitty green screen. You know that guy doesn't look like he's
Right.
falling. Why do you keep showing it?
Yeah.
Show a quick zoom and then cut to the splat.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I wrote a note about that window too. Like, and it's
I don't
even
understand.
worse because at night they didn't like adjust the lighting for it. It looked like you knew it was supposed to be nighttime, yet it seemed like there was daylight coming through that fucking window.
Mhm.
I was like, I feel like if I was to peek out that window, I would see like the sand dunes from Beetlejuice when you try and leave the house. Like, what is going on out there?
Yeah. The whole like quality of it felt very daytime soap / your parents forgot to turn off motion smoothing on their new TV. Like, everything felt very like too realistic looking, too kind of cardboard cutty, like just very fake the whole way through. Especially, scenes in the office. We're just like, what the why?
yeah.
Why am I looking at it like this? I don't get it.
Mhm.
Like, it's a writer with some pedigree, a director with some pedigree, and a couple decent name actors. what the fuck? How did it go so bad?
Mhm.
I don't get it.
I know. I was so like disappointed when I realized that Asa, Judah Lewis, I was like, oh shit, that's the kid from the Babysitter movies. I'm
Mhm.
like, those were normal, decent, mainstream
He was
horror
horrible
movies.
in this.
Yeah.
Like completely unconvincing as both a badass or like just very quiet, sad, mopey kid.
Mhm.
Like both swings failed for me. I don't know.
They weren't fine enough for me. I'm not going to give them a badge for it, but I didn't find it offensive. Maybe it's because I see it a lot worse, but
What? Since we're talking about acting, I just wrote my notes says, quote, okay, now everyone get on all fours and shake.
My God, so much of that.
yeah, every time that happened, it overstayed. Like the first time you want to do it longer to make your point, fine. After that, you're now just padding the runtime.
Yeah, right. You could have taken 3 to 4 minutes out of this movie. No problem.
Yeah. So,
No
okay.
problem.
So to give context, we've got a demon that swaps bodies with people and travels from body to body. And every time it happens, there's like this seizure sort of
Yeah.
thing that happens. And yeah, the actors are just like falling down on all fours and just like basically just vibrating, going, like
they're doing like really fast cat cows the whole time.
I'm like, you couldn't try like it, and they were all. I feel like they were all doing the same thing, so it's like they were told to do that, and it's like,
and then
no.
there's always the close up of somebody's hand doing this. I don't know why.
It's like,
I don't know why we focused on hands so much.
The hand was because there was a reason for that one. Bruce Dern's character Ephraim. Wait, he had his one hand was, I don't know if it was arthritic or what it was kind of stuck in that position. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, he had a stroke. So his consciousness was the one traveling from the start. So to show the body he was going to, that was the sign. If he was trying to fake his way through whatever, his hand was supposed to be kind of crooked. At least that's how I took it.
Yeah, but then after the transformation happened, they weren't. Nobody's hands were crippled afterwards. So like if it was a transformation that affected it, you would think if he's the possessor when he's then in Heather Graham's character, one of her hands would not be working, but that wasn't the case. Or when she was locked up in the basement. God damn. I didn't even do anything. I didn't do anything that time.
For our audio listeners,
Fuck you, Apple.
Nick just had balloons float past his face.
Yeah, fuck.
There must be a way to turn that off.
There's got to be. I haven't figured it out yet.
Don't, because this is great.
I hate it so much. Anyways, when she's handcuffed to the basement and they body swap, she still has the use of both of her hands. Like, so if it's something that travels with the possession, someone should have that restriction afterwards, and nobody ever does. It's just like, it's part of the pattern is you show twitching, you show the other person twitching, you show a hand twitch, you show a hand twitch, you show both of them at the same time, and then the thing is done. And we have to watch that every fucking time.
It's the lore of this is questionable at best. Because it's set, if I'm following correctly, you need, after you get 3 swaps, and on the 3rd swap, it's permanent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'll let you finish, but I will say that there is no lore. There's only mechanics.
Okay. Maybe that's the problem. Because where this actually fell apart more for me, story-wise, I guess, was when it picked up toward the end. Like when you had the whole hospital sequence and everything a little before that. That's just like, what is happening here? Because at that point, Derby had been possessed twice, I believe. and she knows what's happening now. She's trying to stop it. And you got to kill the brain. You got to kill the brain. And that's kind of something they established even at the beginning of the movie. Okay. So she stabs Asa in the fucking front of his head with a foot-long blade that goes like at least halfway through. And he's not dead. So then you get one of the best gags in the movie is when she's backing up into him repeatedly and we watching it on the backup cam.
Yes, except for there should be blood smeared on that camera after the first time. It is
Fair.
a pristine, clean camera 3 times in a row when she backs into his face and drives forward, and there's no like
just a little spatter.
Just a little fake splatter here and there, but it's like every time it's just pristine. No, come on.
Okay, fine. I still overall enjoyed the gag. But then that still doesn't finish him. So she stabs him in overkill. I don't know if this is before or after the car, but stabs him in overkill just in the gut.
It was after. Yeah.
It was after. Okay. Then his body's in the morgue. And he's still not dead. Now, granted, gut slashing is not the brain, but for the brain to function, you need some blood. You should be full on out of that. And somehow, with one hand, literally, crawls out of the morgue into the hallway and doesn't finally die until he's shot in the head. Twice, I believe.
The bigger problem for me there that you just missed is starts crawling out of the morgue as the demon and then manages to finish saying his thing and repossess Elizabeth in her solitary. Yes. So now Elizabeth is in the body of essentially a corpse. It's no longer a demon. It's no longer the brain has demon will to live thing. You're looking at a corpse that is missing an arm, a leg. Its guts are literally still on the table behind it. It's been stabbed in the head. It's missing an eyeball, and somehow it's still just hanging out.
Yep.
Like
that. Yeah, I was getting there. Because
I'm sorry. Right. What?
Yeah. So I can get on a lore or mechanics train of because of demons, the brain has a harder time dying. Sure. But, yeah, great, fine.
Yeah. But fell out window, stabbed in head, stabbed in guts a billion times, backed into by a car 3 or 4 times, and it's still just like, I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't work for me anyway. But then the fact that when it can somehow mutter words and transfer out of it and the corpse is still not dead, that doesn't track. There's no way. No way. Right. There's nowhere in the amount of trauma that body took could it have survived in any way, shape, or form. And I can get past a lot of shit. No, just no.
Yeah, the bigger overall, I guess, mechanic question, quasi-lore question, mechanic question is if all it takes is saying their version of, the Evil Dead catchphrase there to possess somebody, do you have to get their blood the first time? Do you, how does it start? Clearly it started with Ephraim doing it and he was possessing his son. Which gets weird and leans into the everything else about this gets wicked sexual as part of the transformation between them. So was he just molesting his kid? Is that part of what happened here? Because it's not clear, but everybody else, when there's some sort of transference there, they get real horned up. So I'm going to just let that go. But how else is if I was just to say those words right now, who would I possess? How does it set that to begin with? Because you can't assume not everybody bled in a book. She bled in a book and then he was able to possess her. But Barbara Crampton's character didn't bleed in the book.
Nope.
So how did that transformation work? I don't understand how the jump works, but either way, point being, if your whole goal is just to body jump to a younger body, if that's the goal of what this movie is, when you have somebody who you can possess chained in a basement, and the possessions only last a few minutes at a time, instead of like going out in the world and doing something while you leave a person with a cell phone tied up in your basement, why wouldn't you just like say the words body swap, wait, say the words body swap, wait, do it a third time, I'm fucking done. Like, that's it. You already have the person who you can turn into in your house, chained to a wall. Do the fucking ritual. What are you doing? None of that makes sense. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for how any of the transformations work. And then when you have the perfect opportunity to achieve your goal, you just go fuck the dude's husband instead. No.
Which you're technically a male conscious at that time too. So
yeah, sure, great. The demon likes whatever it likes.
But like, sex is sex, I guess.
Yeah, it's all good. But I like none of the mechanics and or lore, whatever you want to call that, have any. No, the mechanics don't have lore. That's the problem. There's a mechanic that they set out and they don't give any rhyme or reason or any real explanation how it works other than to zoom in on a book to show you that you need to bleed in it. And then they don't ever fucking touch it again.
Well, what the funniest part about that is it is based on an H.P. Lovecraft short story, which, according to the trivia, is called "The Thing on the Doorstep."
Right.
I kind of want to read. I have a hard time reading Lovecraft.
It's very hard. I've listened to a few. Book on tape is a better way of doing it because the words are also fucking hard to pronounce. Yeah. That like it's way easier to listen than to read. I think I've even listened to this one.
My point is, I would imagine Lovecraft put some lore behind his mechanics, or at least explained his mechanics enough to have it work.
Yeah, or also, as may be the case, was short enough that it didn't really matter. It didn't jump around so far and involve as many people. Like, a lot of his stories are very isolated, like one person's dread sort of thing.
True.
So if it's just a one-on-one person and demon, you don't really have to worry about how the world works as much.
Right.
I don't know. I can't remember if I've listened to that one on tape or not, but I may go do that either way now. But yeah,
I just like,
it made me mad.
I want to know what demon we're dealing with and like, what's the history with this demon and why was Ace's dad looking into it? And like, I just need a little bit more reason rather than just, creepy book with the drawings of what looks like Cthulhu.
Yeah. Well, I filled that backstory in my own canon as, he had a stroke. He was aging. He was clearly very sick. And he was trying to find some way basically to have eternal life and found some sort of demon to jump into originally his son, a younger, more vital shell, essentially. They don't say that. It's never that explicit, but that's kind of like the lore that I made up for it. But it doesn't go further than that. Like, you had the perfect victim right there in your house under your thumb. If that was your only goal, was to just get a younger shell, you had it. You did it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that I guess I was just so distracted by my sighing and my eye rolling throughout the movie that like I like kind of wasn't thinking about the dad being the beginning of this, because so technically who's jumping bodies, the dad or a demon? Like
demon dad. I don't think it's a demon. Right. I think it's the dad's conscience, but like there's obviously a supernatural element. You get bonus powers. Like, I don't think it's
so it's not really a summon thing. It's more of a asking the deity for whatever.
Yeah, you're asking Cthulhu to Freaky Friday you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Because watching the movie with that in mind, knowing that it was the dad, like you said, makes it more yucky. And like, I wasn't thinking that. But to me, because I didn't catch on to that, I was just thinking it was kind of a demon jumping around trying to.
No, the dad's a perv and who wants to live forever. And, they at least established to an extent that when he was in his own body, when he was interacting with Derby, that he's kind of an asshole. So that carried through. So it wasn't the demon being evil, it was him being an asshole. And then apparently he hadn't been laid in a long time, and he saw his chance in a couple different ways.
I have nothing nice to say about this movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, so there is, I guess it's kind of mechanicky, but also lore, Lovecraftian lore that I didn't know about. Apparently you can, well, okay, I wrote this note thinking it was like a demon and not the dad. So I wrote, you can hypnotize a Lovecraftian monster? No shit. How easy it was to hypnotize.
I was wondering when, like, it should have been a very obvious Chekhov's gun when she hypnotized her patient in the beginning as to, like, just regular therapy. It's just like, wow, we get one scene with her being a doctor, and the thing that she leans to immediately is hypnosis. I was like, cool story for therapy there, guys. There are other things that therapy is. You missed it. But of course, it did actually come back to be relevant.
Yeah.
As much as it could be. Don't you fucking dare, Apple. I'm nervous to have my hands on the camera now. Yeah, like, at least that came back up, because when that was just their one example of what therapy looked like, I was like, ooh, not great.
But I love, going back to Mike's lighting comment, that very old, extremely dull, and probably crusted blood knife was reflecting a lot of white light from that little LED lamp. Not sure the mechanics there worked, but if that thing was polished like the knife from Scream, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, God, now all these new questions are popping up now that I have a different understanding of the antagonist here. So the synopsis, like, psychiatrist becomes obsessed with one of her young patients, and the trailer, is just like, oh, you're getting a porno without actually watching porn.
You're getting a Cinemax porn.
Yeah, and just the fact that she so quickly has sex with this kid, this young man. And so to me, it was just like, oh, well, it seemed ridiculous, but it was like, oh, demonic powers and suggestion. It's like, no, it's just some old dude and his kid. Like,
yeah, dude. Dad's got Riz.
And we're going to put Nick on mute.
But to your point, Mike, I know I just said, it was just the consciousness possessing, but I did think that too. That it was definitely...
I hate myself for that one.
I need Apple to just like slap a bandage on your mouth or something.
But yeah, that's an interesting point, because I had the same thought as you while watching the movie, even though I was the one that just helped justify, no, it's the consciousness. But yeah, I thought that, obviously they showed there was marital trouble, so they tried to give a little bit of lean to that. But like, it's not like this kid was, super
certainly
hot.
Wasn't as freaking jacked and gorgeous as her husband.
Yes.
Like, what a choice for just like the husband. And it's like, oh yeah, we got this fucking model.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know.
And just another, I'm just going through my notes. This is completely just non sequitur, but kooky morticians who eat while they're working we've seen it. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every mortician.
It's not a thing anymore. Like, there's no grossness. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you catch the Victor Crowley reference? There's someone named Mr. Crowley.
Yes. I did catch that.
Someone involved, I saw on IMDb, was in or part of the crew for like two of the...
Okay.
What were those movies called again?
The Hatchet.
Hatchet movies. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they kept the world with, they kept talking about Miskatonic University and,
Mhm.
all Arkham police. It was the Arkham police were the ones that were showing up, and
Mhm.
so I mean, it's very easy to say, "Oh, we're in Lovecraft land." Or you just throw in the name Miskatonic or somebody
Yeah.
wearing the sweatshirt, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
there you go. That's really all you need.
I think the cops did the best acting job. Just being like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah, audience surrogate. There you are. I don't know. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, another fun note. Pills work really fast in movies, huh?
So fast.
I was actually, I didn't write that down, but I was thinking about that because there's so many movies that do that. Oh, my heart pill. Even they did on Bob's Burgers.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm just like, that's not how pills work.
What, Edith? Edith?
Yeah, Edith and her
pills. Give me my heart pills.
Yeah.
Touches your tongue. It's like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and it's the same thing here. It's like, no, like unless you're doing an injection,
yeah,
which still doesn't even quite work that fast. Yeah, well, it's
Amazing
2024. We know
placebos.
how medicine works. Like, stop faking that.
Ugh.
Snort it, then we might believe you.
Yeah.
And then zoom in on their eye, reacting.
Zoom in on their nostrils. You're snorting it.
You go up the dollar bill. Turned into Train Spotting all of a sudden. What the fuck just happened?
It's the reverse of the opening credits of Fight Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Into the brain through all the synapses. And, fuck. Now I want to watch a good movie like Fight Club.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, this one's going to be very easy to give badges to.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and quote, parentheses, not parentheses, do that.
Yeah.
So, Brian, do you have any badges you want to give this
Yeah.
movie?
Say, for those unaware, we give badges to point out what movies did well. This week, Mike and I will be remaining silent.
I mean, obviously needs digital effects for their green screening prowess. No, while I was entertained, look, I didn't even defend much of this
No,
movie
you
as we
really
were
didn't.
talking. I gave it an okay because I did remain entertained through it, even though I was questioning character choices or how corpses work. I was entertained. And I can't even give a backup cam thing an original death because he didn't fucking die. So,
Original maiming.
yeah, right. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I don't have any badges either.
Okay. But I guess we're not going to consensus on A Sad Kangaroo, so this will just be a no badge movie.
That's what, the second no badge movie? Right?
What's our difference between a sad kangaroo and a no badge movie?
I
I
think.
don't remember how we.
I thought they were the same.
Well,
Or
yeah.
said kangaroo only because that one was in Australia. I got the same.
Well, I don't know. I'm like, we didn't agree on this, but I'm just kind of thinking like Sad Kangaroo. I feel like is ones that all three of us agree that this is terrible.
This is a fucking
Okay.
horrible movie. Okay,
Fine.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, great.
Okay. But yeah, I can't give it a badge
So
for
like
anything.
Skinamarink, sad kangaroo.
Yes.
Yes, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Okay,
Cool.
fine.
Sure. Yeah, this is just a no badge. That's fine.
Okay, so suitable flesh. Not so
Sorry.
suitable.
Sorry,
Not so
Lynch.
suitable. Yeah.
No badges. Go back to action movies. Maybe we'll check those out. Sorry. Oh, we're so mean. Okay. Well, that's gonna do it. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Again, you can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/@horrorscouts. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you saw the movie, let us know what you thought. I want to know what you think was outside that window.
Freedom.
We have Instagram account at horror_scouts. And as I mentioned at the top of the episode, we have a Discord, and the link to that is in the description as well. Go check out all those new horror trailers that have been out. That's what Brian's going to go do right now. Okay, bye, everybody.